the orca, aka the killer whale. Their scientific name is Orcinus orca, but they also go by the name Blackfish or the wolves of the sea. They are the apex predator of the ocean, and nothing can defeat them, even the largest carnivorous fish in the world, the great white shark. As a matter of fact, these 30-foot-long dolphins actually prey on great whites, but they also prey on other things, like large whales, stingrays, small fish, and even other sharks. But they have never attacked a human. There has not been one documented case of a killer whale doing anything to a person in the wild. But sadly, that cannot be said for captivity. So what actually happens when you put a large apex predator in a captive situation? Well, to be honest, a lot of things can happen. Like all wild animals, orcas are unpredictable. You have no idea what they're going to do. In captive situations, orcas have killed people, Orcas have exhibited behaviors that would not be demonstrated in the wild, and saddest of all, orcas have even died in captivity and in the wild. But some of these killer whales have gone down into history as some of the most famous known of their species, and today we're going to go through 10 of them. Hello everybody, my name is Jurassic Jr. and today we are going to go through 10 orcas that have passed away in the wild and in captivity over the years. And just to give a little FYI, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm going to be crying throughout most of this video. If you guys don't know, orcas are my favorite animal in the world, and I get really sad when I hear about an orca that has passed away. So I'm sorry if you guys hear me crying, but anyway, let's get into the video, starting with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is a southern resident killer whale by the name of Granny, or J2. Granny was a female southern resident killer whale who was known for her supposed advanced age. She was born around 1911 or 1951, and died in late 2016 at the estimated age of 60 or 80, though other estimates put her at 100 plus years old. Scientist Michael Bigg began photographing and identifying the southern residents in 1971. When he first identified an adult male J1, Ruffles, Granny and Ruffles were often seen together, leading to researchers believing that the two were mother and son. Ruffles was already fully grown when the study period began, so his birth year was placed at 1951. Granny never had any calves throughout the study period, so Ruffles was assumed to have been her last calf. Female orcas usually stop ovulating at around 40 years of age, so Granny's birth year was placed at 1911. J12 Sissy, who was given a birth year of 1935, was also assumed to be her calf. In 2011, genetic testing revealed that Ruffles was not Granny's son, rendering her age estimate based on his age null. In addition, a biopsy taken from Granny was studied, and she was estimated to be between 60 and 80 years old, based on the chemicals in fatty acids. In September of 2016, Granny was noted to be looking thin. She was seen for the last time the next month. And on January 5th, 2017, the Center for Whale Research announced that Granny was officially missing and presumed deceased. Even though she is gone, Granny is still remembered as the oldest recorded orca to ever live in our oceans, and she will forever be missed. The next orca on this list is L98 Luna, born on September 19th, 1999 and sadly died on March 10th, 2006. Luna was a killer whale born in Puget Sound. After being separated from his mother while still young, Luna spent 5 years in Nootka Sound an ocean inlet of western Vancouver Island, where he had extensive human contact and became recognized internationally. Although Luna was healthy and his presence in the area attracted extensive publicity, there were concerns about his behavior could endanger watercraft and people. After years of debate, the Canadian Department of Fisheries and Oceans authorized an effort in June 2004 to rescue L98 Luna and return him to his pod. The plan was opposed by First Nations people who lived in the region, who believed Luna was the reincarnation of a former chief. Remaining alone in Nootka Sound, Luna was killed accidentally by a tugboat propeller in March 2006. Overall, Luna was a very special orca to everyone that got to see him, and his behavior in the sound proves that orcas are not aggressive to people in the wild, nor will they hurt them. But after Luna starts the captive orcas. So let's get into our first captive orca with number 8. The next orca on our list and our first captive killer whale is named Kalina. Kalina, also known as Baby Shamu, was a 25-year-old female killer whale who lived at Seaworld Orlando. She was born headfirst at 6:21 p.m. EST on September 26, 1985. She was the daughter of Katina and Winston. Kalina was the first killer whale to be successfully born and raised in captivity. Kalina had 4 calves, but all of them were separated from her by 2006. Kalina died in 2010 from septicemia or sepsis. Kalina was one of the few whales to spend time at all 4 SeaWorld parks. The next orca on our list is a male orca named Sumar, or Summer in Icelandic. Sumar was a male killer whale who was born at SeaWorld Orlando on March 14, 1998. His mother is Taima and his father is Tilikum, 2 of the most famous killer whales in SeaWorld history. Within a few months of his birth, Sumar had to be separated from his mother after she became aggressive towards him. Many suspect Taima did this after witnessing her mother try to drown her younger sister due to her being mentally and physically ill. After this, Katina and Kalina cared for him until he was moved to SeaWorld San Diego. He passed away on September 7, 2010 at SeaWorld San Diego from gastric torsion. The next orca on our list is another male orca named Nakai. Nakai was a 20-year-old male Icelandic killer whale who lived at SeaWorld San Diego. He was born headfirst at 8:50 p.m. PDT on September 1, 2001. He was the first killer whale to be conceived through artificial insemination. His mother was Kasaka and his father was Tilikum. During the summer of 2022, Nakai developed health complications due to an unspecified lung illness. Although he received aggressive treatment, he unfortunately passed away late in the evening of August 4, 2022. Our next orca on our list is a female orca from SeaWorld San Diego named Kasaka. Kasaka was an approximately 40-year-old female Icelandic killer whale who lived at SeaWorld San Diego. She was the matriarch of the San Diego pod for almost 3 decades. On August 15, 2017, she was humanly euthanized following years of treatment for chronic respiratory disease. She was the mother of Takara, Nakai, Kalia, and Makini, the grandmother of Kohana, Trua, Sakari, Kamiya, Amaya, and Kiara, and the great mother of Eden and Victoria. Our next killer whale on this list is actually our first killer whale that is not from a SeaWorld park. and her name is Narnia. Narnia was an approximately 15-year-old female Russian transient killer whale who lived at the Moskvarium in Moscow, Russia. She was captured on August 11, 2012 in Reniki Bay in the Sea of Okhotsk in Russia. She was the oldest and most dominant whale at the Moskvarium. Narnia passed away from intestinal volvulus in late December 2022 or early January 2023. The next orca on this list is an orca that I've actually already mentioned in this list, and an orca from Seaworld Orlando named Taima. Taima was a 20-year-old female killer whale who lived at Seaworld Orlando. She was born tail first on the night of July 11, 1989, during a thunderstorm, which is actually ironic because in Icelandic, the name Taima means crash of thunder, hence her name. She was the daughter of Gudrun and Kanduk, and the mother of Sumar, Tekoa, and Malia. But you might be asking, who fathered Taima's calves? Well, it was none other than the largest bull killer whale in captivity, named Tilikum. Tilikum was actually the father of all of Taima's calves. And what's very special about Taima is that unlike all the other females who would harass Tilikum and bite him, rake him with their teeth and stuff, Taima would actually be the only female that would never rake Tilikum, never be aggressive with him. As a matter of fact, I really do believe that these two were in serious love and they were really cute together. Especially seeing them with Malia. When you see a video or a picture of Tilikum, Taima, and Malia, to me it just kind of looks like the best family picture you could ever ask for. But sadly, on June 6, 2010, Taima passed away from labor complications while giving birth to a stillborn calf. Okay guys, so our next killer whale on this list, coming in at number 2, is an orca that is actually very special to me, and I'll explain why, named Kiska. Kiska was an approximately 46-year-old female Icelandic killer whale who lived at Marineland in Canada. Kiska had 5 calves, although none of them survived for more than a few years. She sadly passed away on March 9, 2023, from an unspecified bacterial infection. Kiska was the last captive killer whale in Canada and marked the official end of killer whale captivity in the country. Now, here is why Kiska is so special to me. When I first heard about Kiska, it was actually on my birthday, March 10th, and when I saw that she died, I'm not gonna lie, I did start crying because she was such a fighter, being alone for almost half of her life and being the only surviving killer whale in that large tank of hers by herself. However, Kiska did have a male come into Marineland that was from SeaWorld. However, they sadly had to move the male back to SeaWorld because the male was actually harassing Kiska for dominance and for food. So after they took the male out of the enclosure, Kiska was left alone for the rest of her life. But again, Kiska did die on my birth month, so this orca means so much to me because, again, I heard about it on my birthday. So as much as I did have a good birthday on March 10th, I was still missing a chunk of my heart knowing that Kiska was gone. And for as long as I live, I'll never forget about this big girl and how much of a fighter she was. The final orca on this list, and one of my favorite killer whales on this list, is the largest bull killer whale that lived in SeaWorld, named Tilikum. We mentioned him during Taima's section of this video, but here is his section. Tilikum was an approximately 35-year-old male Icelandic killer whale who lived at SeaWorld Orlando. He is considered to be largely responsible for the death of senior trainer Don Brancho in February 2010, an incident that sparked debate about the ethics of keeping orcas in zoological settings. However, Don Brancho is not the only person Tilikum has killed. He's also killed Kelty Byron in 1991 and Daniel Pidukes in 1999. Overall, he was involved in the deaths of 3 people. He is most famous for being the star of Blackfish, a 2013 film that claims that orcas are not fit for life in aquariums. Tilikum was also the most successful breeding orca in captivity, siring at least 21 calves, 7 of which are alive today. He sadly passed away on January 6, 2017, after succumbing to a progressive form of bacterial pneumonia. Unlike most killer whales on this list, Tilikum was actually the first one I ever heard about, and honestly the first one I liked, because I've watched Blackfish countless times, and hearing how Tilikum's life was honestly just broke my heart into 1,000 pieces, because you have got to put your body into his body. Because imagine, you're 2 years old, you're swimming with your pod, you're having the time of your life, and then all of a sudden these people corral you in this giant net and basically kidnap you from your family when you're only 2 years old, and then you are thrown into a tank with 2 other female killer whales who rake you with their teeth. They act aggressive towards you, they become more dominant than you, and then you finally lash out at someone and you drown them, which is what Kelty Byron went through in 1991. And then your first facility that you lived at closed, and then you were moved to SeaWorld Orlando, his last and final home. And then when you arrive, you're then attacked by the other females that live there, but you can't go anywhere because you're so big and you don't have nowhere to go. Unlike in the open ocean, where you have countless places to go. However, as I explained in Taima's section of this video, Taima was the only female killer whale that never acted aggressive towards Tilikum, nor did she rake him like the other females did. So when Tilikum was at SeaWorld, there were only a few scenarios that you would see him in. You would see him by himself, with other juvenile killer whales, with his grandson, Trua, or if you're lucky enough, you might see him with Taima. And then in 2010, you seriously injure a senior trainer at SeaWorld who has worked with orcas for almost her entire life. And then you are literally thrown in a tank that is so tiny, you almost can touch the other side of it with your tail. Like, the tank that Tilikum was living in after he attacked Dawn was so small in comparison to the other tanks he's been in. It was so small. That little tank was basically like his little jail cell. And then Tilikum was allowed to come back into the shows for a while, and then he would only come out as like the big splash. And then after that scene was done, he would be led back to that little tank, which was basically again his little jail cell. So literally that was this poor guy's life. He was kidnapped from his family in the wild. He was bitten, he was harassed, he was raped, he was teased, he was sensory deprived. And then he was put in a tank that could barely fit his 25-foot-long body. When I heard about Tilikum's passing, I felt the exact same way as I felt when I heard about Kiska's passing. I was just heartbroken, and I was just really sad that, he was gone. And Because honestly, the poor guy did not deserve the life that he had. Because again, I'm sorry to keep saying it, but you have to imagine it. He was kidnapped from his family in the wild by people, which were then the same type of creatures that were taking care of him in this zoological setting. And then all of a sudden, he has to die where concrete is all around him. And just like Kiska, no matter how long I live for, I will always and forever will remember the largest bull orca in captivity, Tilikum. And just how we didn't do anything to make his life better. Because we could have done something to make his life better. But we chose not to. And in the end, he died in a literal jail cell. And also, just like Kiska, I will always honor this big boy as the fighter and just the fantastic killer whale that he was. And that feeling of losing him and just the sadness when I see him. It's like every time when I see a picture or a video of Tilikum, it just reminds me that I have to keep hold of him. I can't let him go. And I'll always honor him no matter how long I live for. Well guys, that officially ends the list. I'm sorry if any of you guys cried, because I'm not gonna lie, around Kiska or Tilikum, I'm not gonna lie, I was probably a few feet or inches away from crying. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I hope you guys understand why I did this video. And I kind of understood that I kind of maybe went a little too far with Tilikum, but I felt right to do it. But anyway guys, to end this off, killer whales are some of the most magical and fantastic creatures that we have on this planet, and we need to respect them as the apex predator that they are and not put them in zoological settings. Because it's not just killer whales that don't do good in captivity. There are other animals that don't do well in captivity. They do better in the wild than in a zoological setting. Overall, the killer whale will still and forever will be my favorite animal in the world. Nothing will change my vision on how these animals are and the apex predators that they are. Because, to be honest, the killer whale is one of the greatest apex predators to ever swim in our seas. I seriously hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you guys want another top 10 list that is actually happy, unlike this one, leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and comment down below which orca that you were most sad for, and what was your favorite orca in this list. And also guys, if you want to, you guys can tell me if you guys have met these orcas in person, because honestly, that would be really cool. But anyway guys, if you guys have enjoyed this video, leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, Raptor Squad.